Hello, this is Scott, Franchiseinsight.net. Today, I'm going to talk about technology, some of the operational elements around technology, and then touch briefly on cyber security issues and considerations. So, with that said, as it relates to technology, you may not think you're buying a tech heavy opportunity as you look at franchises, but I would say most every concept I looked at, from retail to food services, fitness concepts, home services, out of all of these, there's a platform that's going to run the business. Typically, it's a reskinning of a Salesforce or a HubSpot, but sometimes people write their own code and put their own platform together. But I think understanding, because those are key, it's a key item for the business, right? If you are using, let's just say, Salesforce and you're a home services business, that means all of your appointments are documented and scheduled through that platform. You invoice people through that platform. You keep up with their names and email addresses so you can follow up in the event they don't buy as part of a CRM opportunity. So the platforms can be critical to run the business. So if the platform is down or other technology components that support the business, it's a very fair question to ask your franchise consultant, ask the franchisor, what do those service level agreements look like, both for a scenario where a franchisor manages all of the IT infrastructure in-house, or maybe a third party manages it for them. I would think in the franchise agreement, there's probably some pretty clear references to this, but I think making sure as you go through your franchise agreement that you understand that there are documented service level agreements, SLAs, so that you clearly know that if there is a disruption with technology, that there is support for you after hours, or know that there's not support for you after hours. I mean, understanding that, negotiating that into your agreement is obviously critical. How quickly do they have an obligation to get you back up and running is, at the end of the day, what you need to understand, because things will go wrong. I mean, it's just part of technology. So now we'll shift over to the cyber side of things. The town I live in, defense tech, aerospace, cyber are significant employers, significant part of the business community. So it's always in my face on LinkedIn. And that's kind of what made me think of this today. Is I saw a stat that said that a business that experiences a cyber attack, that these businesses, 60% of them go out of business within 6 months. So if you look at the reasons why that is kind of a scary stat and why so high, if you have an attack, you're not only going to have the disruption of what's going on with your business that then impacts revenue coming in and as you get it figured out. And again, this is assuming probably a pretty serious threat. I'm not sure how they are categorized, but again, this is a big corporation's marketing and their stats. So it should be, they're all over LinkedIn. So it should be a legitimate number. So 60% out of business within 6 months. You have the disruption, loss of revenue, you have all those things, but then you also have customers who lack confidence and trust in a brand when they hear about a threat like this or an attack like this or a ransomware situation where they now are worried, well, was my identity stolen at some level? Was my credit card information stored by this company? So again, I know most of these attacks are hitting, Fortune 500 companies that generate millions of dollars in revenue. Most franchises are not in that category, even though they generate millions of dollars, but they may not on the surface appear to be candidates for an attack. But at the end of the day, folks, I mean, why people do this that are just looking to disrupt anyway, or looking to financially gain from executing an attack like this. So it hits all levels. So just because you're not, the reason you don't probably hear about it as often is because it's the big players that get on the news because millions of identities were stolen and it's going to cost X and all of those things. And people always, gravitate to the stories where there's kind of more of that wow factor. But with all of that said, check with your franchisor. Have a clear understanding who manages the Cyber infrastructure. Is it outsourced? If so, how is that done? If it's internal, what is that person's skill set to be managing that? If they're just throwing that underneath someone who wrote some code, that's maybe not a great solution and not a proactive solution. So worth asking those questions. It's your right to ask those questions, obviously, because it's your money going into this investment. So with all of that today, come visit me for a 5 to 10 minute discussion about your decision to buy a franchise. If there is an agreement or we believe that there's value in going to the next step, then we book the 2-hour session to go through this in a deeper dive for you. And when I say go through this, go through your unique buying opportunity. So you guys have a great day.